Hey, what's going down? You're on the recovery pod.
And we're here to speak our own truth and nothing but the truth.
So help you God.
What up?
You gotta stop using them SpongeBob memes if you're not gonna watch SpongeBob. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, what I'm going to say is that I'm going to use the memes and I'm not going to watch it.
Why?
Bruh, you want to have this conversation right now?
I'm just kidding.
So, hey, what's going down? I'm in my office. I am being mindful of the microphone volume. Hopefully I sound good. I have my air conditioning off because it was loud in the last one. And yeah, traffic is a little loud, but we're going to roll with it.
Well, you sound way better now than you did
good.
last time.
Good. You still sound loud, but maybe because I have the volume turned up. Are we at the point where we could start giving shout outs to people?
I mean, we can be there if we want to be there, and it's really on us. So
I just want to shout out whoever's in Morton, Illinois. Do you know anybody in Morton, Illinois?
I don't.
Well, we got 2 downloads from them. And I noticed it before because it was on one of the old ones. So, I don't know who you are or how you found us, but shout out to you. Leave a comment. Let us know who you are. I just find it interesting. If I saw it more than once, okay, somebody's coming back. Who are you?
Right.
I don't need your social security number or anything, but hey, say what's up.
Just your credit card number.
Yeah, just your credit card number. So what's up? What are we talking about?
I don't know. I'm just I am so... I don't know. I just feel whole. I've never felt this way before. I'm just so astonished by the fact that I completely forgot to feel feelings my whole life. Not that I forgot, but I didn't realize until recently that that's all I had to do. And I mean, it's very hard because I never did it. So I'm trying to do it. And it's, even though I've been observing negative feelings throughout the day, I am still just glad that I'm able to do it.
Right.
They honestly don't even feel that bad. They just feel but I think it's because I've gotten the whole observer mode instrument prior that now I'm able to handle them better.
Well, yeah. Plus, when you resist a feeling, now you're adding another feeling. You're resisting it. You're judging yourself for feeling bad. You're judging yourself for not feeling good. You're craving the other feeling you're not feeling. You know what I mean? There's so many levels when we do these things that on the surface it's just I feel bad. Now I feel bad because I'm feeling bad, and we may not even get to that point. But really, there's so many other things happening that are contributing to this cycle of negative emotion that when you can start practicing awareness and at least seeing what's happening and accepting it before anything else, you create all that space to at least not keep it going. You know what I mean? And it's almost figuring out what you're saying, how to do it and the cheat code, and you're just damn, it was this easy all along.
Yeah, I guess I never knew what it meant to, in rehab, we were forced to write these feelings inventories, and the entire time I was so scared of feeling myself. I was so scared of feeling anything inside of myself. And I just bullshitted my way through the whole thing, and everybody knew I was lying, and I just kept doing it. And then once I got out, I forgot about that's what I need to work on. And I tried every single thing to get to myself by skipping myself. I was trying to skip over myself to the point where I started getting into spirituality like heavily and getting myself to these like in the beginning it was all cool because like, damn, I've never felt this before. It's a new feeling, so I'm like accepting that, I guess. But then I was trying to do it so hard to still bypass myself. And eventually I got to a breaking point where I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? I'm still not feeling okay. I'm still lost. I'm still disconnected. I'm still empty. And I literally just recently found out that I was just trying to just skip over myself.
Right.
And like, it's so, and it's like, I've always known I'm supposed to just feel. I'm supposed to just let myself feel. But I guess I never accepted that. I never accepted the fact that I have to feel because I was just scared of feeling. I was scared of whatever feelings I would have come up. I was scared to let them in because I was scared of myself, what would happen after. But then I just decided, like, okay, like one day I just let it come and I just sat in it and it was over within like minutes and then I was okay.
Right.
And it was so dope. Like,
yeah, I mean, we're not used to letting ourselves feel anything, especially anything negative. You know, it's you feel them as like a child and then as maybe a teenager, and you're overwhelmed by them. You don't like them, but you don't know there's another way. You don't know there's a way to numb it. You don't know there's a way to change it and flip a switch. Then you learn that with drugs and other behaviors, and then you start doing that. I'm pissed. I got to calm down. How am I going to calm down? Well, this joint calmed me down last time, or this alcohol made me forget, or, going and having sex with someone made me feel validated, or whatever it is. Like, there's so many things we do to distract ourselves, to get outside of ourselves, to not feel ourselves. Then they just become patterns. That's the go-to. Well, this worked last time, it's going to work again. And it kind of works for a minute until it doesn't. And then we have more problems piled on.
Yeah, and it's just because we don't accept those things. Like, it would be just like these horrible thoughts that would come in, right? And you're just like, damn, dude, I can't believe I'm thinking this. Like, how dare I be thinking this? I should not be thinking this. Like, this is horrible. Like, this is who you are? You're having these thoughts? Like, are you serious? So then you judge yourself for it, and then you just resist it, and you press it, and you make it go away. But, like, I just realized that, like, I am safe in my mind. I'm safe inside myself. So whatever comes up, I literally just let it come, and then I let it pass. I let it flow, and nobody has to know about it. Nobody has to. I don't have to like sit there and speak out loud like, oh yeah, I'm thinking about this thing and it's making me feel this way. Like, no, nobody's expecting that out of me. It's all happening inside of me. And eventually the more I allow myself to have these like shitty, crazy, negative thoughts come in, and they'll just calm down,
Yeah, and it's good to address them, put them in perspective, and like work on them, because like I'm gonna say this, and I don't want to imply the opposite, but when you have a problem, let's say it's a real problem, like someone pissed you off, it's a story, like you go and tell everybody that story, venting, complaining, whatever. Somebody does something to you, like your boyfriend does something to you. Then you go around and you tell your best friend, then you tell your mom, then you tell everybody. You're retelling the story. You're keeping it alive. You're feeling it again. You're being validated by other people again. Same with a thought. You have a thought, then you go and tell someone the thought. Then you say the thought again to yourself. Then you tell someone else. You just keep replaying the thought and the emotion and the cycle of it. Now, that's not to say you repress the thought either. You ignore it and just shove it down. You address it. You say it when you need to say it, but you say it in a perspective where it's aiming for a solution rather than just repeating it, if that makes sense. Like what we do in meetings. You know, we tell on ourselves, we share our load, you know, and we also seek a solution. The people that come that vent and just complain, who aren't seeking a solution, more than likely take a lot of that with them still. They say it, they feel it again, they don't feel any better because they're just recycling old garbage. You know what I mean? And yeah, like, so we were doing this thing today, and this kind of ties in where, have you ever thought of defects in a positive way?
Yeah, like, so, for instance, like you have a defect of laziness, right? But then there's also a defect. You're not the only one with
okay.
defects.
I thought you meant you. Yeah, okay. I got a little attacked there. I'm sorry.
Hello, ego. Good to see you again.
Hey, how are you? I've been here the whole time.
So let's say I, Jesus fucking Christ, have a laziness, but I also can overwork myself. So you gotta have like a fine ground. Like you can't either jump to the extreme of, oh, I'm just gonna be lazy, but then I also need to learn to take a break. So they're not necessarily defects, or just they're just like parts of character that you used effectively.
Right.
So that's how I see them. So
I'm gonna break it down a little further here, because we did in my group today, I was going through the group topics I got, and it's some dope shit in there, and got to one on praising defects, and I'm like, this seems interesting. So it basically kind of talks about the beginning of them, where these defects were created by us as defense mechanisms. Yeah. And it breaks down different ones like anger, dishonesty, self-pity, all these things. I wish I had the pamphlet here with me. So anyway, it's like, okay, you made this dishonesty one. God, I wish I could remember the other one. It tied right in with it. Rationalizing. So rationalizing, for example, was like, okay, we rationalize our behaviors, and we started to rationalize our behaviors and the things we did. You know, we made excuses for them, because without that, we would have been in such despair and we would have lost so much self-worth that like self-harm and suicide rates would be higher, because we wouldn't be able to live with ourselves. So we had to rationalize, even to ourselves, but to others as well, why we were doing what we were doing. And that could have saved us at one point. Like, yes, it was wrong. Yes, it had negative side effects. That's obvious. But they also had positive ones that protected us, because we developed them for some reason. And even with dishonesty, like maybe we lied to our partner or our family. You know, it seems on the surface that we're just lying to get away with it, and we're walking away happy that we got away with it. But also we lied because we didn't want to hurt them. We lied because we wanted to show them our best side. We lied because we wanted to be more lovable. We lied for so many different reasons. And it was so cool the way they broke it down, because it was like, yeah, you know, like, but then it circles around to like, okay, this is our old life though. And even though in recovery, we still have some of these defects, they slowly start to not serve our new life. So it's like, just start to realize when you're using old tools in a new life. And it was pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a reason.
Speechless. That's what I like.
Well, now I lost what I was gonna say.
Diary.
Thank you. No, damn. I really just got off track here.
I told you, speechless.
So everything that we form, the way we become, there's a reason for that. And that also kind of ties in with the feelings being invalidated, where you were made to feel like you're not allowed to feel those things, but there's a reason for the things that you have started feeling, and then there's a reason why you have started forming and becoming what you've become. Everything is kind of just like a consequence of the previous thing that has happened. So there is nothing that just comes out of the blue that happens for absolutely no reasons. Like, people end up being formed the way they are from their life experiences.
Right.
And like you were saying, lying, people learn to lie. Like, yeah, they're doing it to not hurt people, but they're also lying so that they don't get hurt too.
Yeah.
That is a very big thing, because you become scared of, there's a lot of it has to do with fear, because, you touch something hot one day and you burn yourself, and then you're afraid of touching it ever again because of how it made you feel.
Right.
So you have to do everything to protect yourself from that feeling ever again. And then some people just end up lying to get away from it. Some people just end up, I don't know, telling themselves to never feel again.
I could never really deal with lies really well. And, my last relationship, there was a lot of lying. And I always looked at it on the surface level of, you're just lying to me so you can continue to get away with it. I bet anything, in my mind, you're happy as long as you're getting away with it. You are almost like, haha, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And there were moments where I realized that maybe it's not so much to do with me. Maybe it had to do with them. Maybe they were like, so if they weren't lying about it and rationalizing it the way they were at such a low self-worth that they wouldn't be able to live with themselves. So they had to lie, because otherwise the things they were doing were just unacceptable, and they had their pain. They needed to do what they did to manage that. And it just so happened to fall in the crosshairs with me. It had nothing to do with me. Whether it was some lies where I just want to do what I want to do and get away with it, other lies where I don't want to admit this to anyone, even myself, or however deep it goes, there were levels. Now, that doesn't excuse the fact that people don't need to constantly put up with that shit. Just because, if you're lying to me because of a broken part of you, I can understand that. But that doesn't mean I have to allow it to continue,
or be involved with that.
Yeah. So, there's just so many levels to it. And there's some times where you're almost just like, just tell the truth. Like, I'll help you or whatever, or I'll give you space. And it becomes this, like, who knows if they're even ready? Who knows if they can face it? Maybe they tried, and that monster is just so huge inside of them that they just can't. That it's easier for them to just, do what they do and allow that wreckage to be what is, rather than the wreckage they feel they'll face if they actually face it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's cool to put in perspective, and it's good to understand both sides. That, like, I can understand so many things. Like when I work with people, professionally in recovery or whatever, I can understand them. I can feel for them. I can love them through their mistakes, but I also don't have to live with them. I don't have to, you know what I mean? I don't have to do anything I don't have to rely on them. So it's easier. When it comes to, I've even had clients where, like, I feel bad for their partner because of the shit they put them through. And I almost want to be like, girl, you need to wake up, go somewhere, put up a boundary, put your foot down, and just watching these people get sucked into a cycle. But it is what it is. Even people that stay in relationships like that, they do it for a reason.
Yeah, there's definitely a reason for everything, and It's all about just being compassionate, understanding that, like, even people that are so just, like, evil and horrible, quote unquote, it all stems from pain. All evil, all negative things, they stem from pain. They stem from protection of themselves from themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And like defects, I feel like you said, are defense mechanisms to protect one from oneself. So once you get more in touch with yourself and feel yourself more and identify your feelings and let yourself feel them and just be with yourself, you don't really need those defects anymore. Like, you're just who you are, like, authentically. And that's when you're fully ready to let go of them. That's what it means to be ready, is to just like know who you are and accept who you are.
Yeah, you would think, like, with step 6, being entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. You almost think that would be a given. What? Yeah, take these defects, fix me, get them out of here. You know what I mean? But it's scary to let them go. Like, that's my armor. Without my defects, I'm vulnerable. Am I ready to be vulnerable? Am I ready to be strong and face the world without my shell? Because that skin down there underneath my shell is super sensitive. It is like bright as can be because it hasn't seen a lick of sunlight. You know what I mean? It's never had a scratch because I've been guarding it this whole time, because anytime anything slightly touches it, it stings. You know, so like being ready, like, I don't know, like just thinking about defects in general, and you think of the few highlighted ones, you're like, yeah, I'm ready for those to go. But even when I was like, you know, sitting close to step 6, it was like all I wanted to do was say the words, yeah, I'm ready. And I couldn't do it. Like, I'm just like, don't really know if I'm ready. I don't know if I'm ready to let go of my sass that keeps me somewhat armored. My sarcasm that can deflect an insult and not show that I'm affected by it, or whatever. You know, and I've been noticing a lot of that lately. Like, you know, someone said something to me the other day, and I was just like, my first instinct was like, nah, I don't do that. But then I think about it, and then I'm like, now I'm aware of it, so I'm looking for little ways that might apply. And there's some times where I feel like, man, I don't even know that I'm doing it. Like, I just feel so ingrained in these defenses that, like, I don't realize I'm doing it. And then even if I stop to think about it, I don't even notice. I can't even spot that I'm doing it. You know, it's like I truly feel like, no, I'm not doing that. You know, like with the compliment thing, like, oh, you can't accept compliments. I'm like, it's not like that. But then it's like, that's always been a thing.
Yep.
I don't know why. Some of my one of my coworkers was telling me today, they're like, "Oh, you're the favorite," and they just think you're great, and you are great. And I'm like, I'm not that great. You know what I mean? And it's just like, I'm trying to be humble, and I'm not even just trying to be. I feel humble. I feel like I'm nothing special. Like, I'm just doing my thing. Like, maybe some of my recovery principles, mindfulness principles, put me at a different stance because of how I take criticism, because of my work ethic, and because of just my outlook on recovery. Maybe that's what they're seeing. So I kind of credit that to the collective rather than something I'm specifically doing. But it still is hard when they're just like, oh, you're just this. And I'm like, stop. You know what I mean? Like, it feels good, but I also deflect it. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's why I've tried to tell you this before, but that's why you just gotta ask yourself, like, why is it so hard? And then you look deep into yourself, how it's making you feel, what thoughts are coming from there, and just like straight up, like, I'm gonna be preaching this for a long time. I feel like just literally, like, how does it make you feel? And then just follow it through. Like, why is it so hard? And what thoughts are coming from it? And just like observe it.
Yeah. Well, I think a big part of it is not taking things personally. So that's a big thing that I always did, and it's one of the agreements of the 4 agreements. But I like that idea so much because then it keeps the power in my hands. And maybe
But it
that's a
shouldn't be
control
hard.
thing.
If that's what it is, it shouldn't be hard then.
Well,
so why is it
let me
hard?
finish what I'm saying, bruh.
Okay.
Damn. So, like, I lost it. No, so like, I don't want to take things personally and be like, and get to the point where I'm like seeking that approval or putting too much value on that approval. I like to just keep the mindset of I know what I do and I know what I don't do, to where the insults or the criticism doesn't shatter me and the praise doesn't lift me up higher than I need to be. However, what I was going to say is that I could learn to say thank you rather than, like neutralizing it or counterparting it with, no, I'm not all that. So I get what you're saying, and I'm trying to meet it there in the middle, like, oh, thanks, you know what I mean? But I do like to stand by the whole, I don't need approval to feel validated, and I don't take insults all the way to heart. That way, I'm not taking things personally and leaving the power in everyone else's hands, leaving the power in whoever decides to comment or not comment on what I'm doing, whoever decides to give me praise or criticism. Like, I've seen people like that, and they're so highly affected and swayed by, the praise will make them feel like times 10. And then any criticism at all just drops them to the earth. And it's like, that's a lot of power you're giving people and their opinions. Know yourself, but maybe I need to work on giving a little bit of wiggle room, and taking those compliments and saying thank you and leaving it at that.
Yeah. So I'm thinking here, someone who, just an example of a person, someone who has been praised in their childhood a lot, and they have had a hard time with it throughout adulthood because they're always seeking that praise to make them feel good.
Mm-hmm.
They're afraid now of that praise because they're afraid of falling back into that old pattern. And there's that defect that they're not ready to let go of because it's keeping them protected from falling back into the old ways of relying on praise and seeking it. And they're not able to take compliments because of that. And that is why it's so hard.
Are you psychoanalyzing me right now?
I'm just thinking of like a person with that.
Oh, okay.
just somebody else that I know. Just like a friend of a friend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that. And, I'm really being honest here. When I was young, I was very smart. I never really, I feel like I felt the same about praise back then. I didn't deflect it, but I didn't care. Like when people were like, oh, you're so smart. I'm like, okay. Like, I don't know. And maybe I'm always relating it to the smart thing because I did get a lot of praise for being smart. I was always top of the class, magnet student, like just way ahead of the game. I was an only child. I had, my great grandma and my grandma who gave me a lot of like educational attention, not like cracking the whip, but like reading to me and working with me on shit. So I had a lot of one-on-one time. And I don't know, I just remember being very advanced in school to the point where when someone did say it, I just didn't even, I just figured that's how everybody learned. I'm like, okay, so you taught me this word and I know it. Wow. You know what I mean? Like, I know my colors, big deal. Or, okay, these math problems don't stump me out. I don't see what's so special here. Like, I truly just felt that way. So it wasn't like, ooh, I'm smart. Yay, good me. Let me study some more. It was just, it kind of came natural to me.
Mhm.
So I don't really recall a whole lot of praise, except maybe my teenage years where the girls started eyeballing because they never did before. So once they did, it was like, oh shit, goes straight to my head and, whatever. And I definitely sought praise in like my late teens, 20s. But it was not a good seeking. That's what I mean. It was like a hollow seeking. I'm looking for this gratification that comes temporarily, makes me feel good, then makes me feel worthless again. So the whole not taking things personally thing has balanced me out to a realistic level. It's not that I'm trying to remain neutral. It's that I want to keep it real and I want to know myself. So if one person walks by and says, you are the hottest thing on this earth, you are the smartest thing ever, and then the next person's like, you are butt ugly and you are dumb as rocks, I don't feel different. I'll be like, I'm sitting at a solid 7 no matter what. Screw you. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Which is new for me. Like, it was not, I was either the best or the worst before. So remaining neutral and knowing myself, and that's a positive for me. But I could say thank you more. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Well, that's good. As long as you're honest with yourself.
Yeah, I'm either being honest as fuck or it's a major defect I can't see. I don't know. I'm willing to go with either.
Just observe it deeper. Go deeper.
How deep do you want me to go?
That's my new mantra, is to just go deeper.